Yeah,
it
Marab, Ilya were
yeah,
is
it
emerged.
kind of feels like well, obviously Max Holloway's done at 145, right?
Yep.
He's up in 155 now for good. With the way that Topuria beat Volkanovski, they're rematching. If he loses again, it's like we're done with that whole Volk
Yep.
Holloway era at 145. Um, then you start looking at like the Kamaru Usmans and those guys at 170. How long can they knock those guys or keep them away? You know, the only person that's kind of stood the test of time is John Jones. John Jones has literally
Well, but he like
he,
time warps because he only
he
fights every 3 years, so it's like a time warp.
he somehow managed to fight for 15 years, bro,
Yeah,
and be the
yeah,
champion the whole time. Like that's
yeah.
crazy, dude.
Well, Pereira too now is he's been in title contention for 2 or 3 years, or am
Yeah.
I making this too long?
No, no, no. Dude. He's only been fighting in the UFC for 3.5 years,
But
4 years.
when did he win his first title? Because it was really fast.
It was fast. He fought two fights and then he got a title fight in New York. So he fought in New York the first
Yes.
year. By the
Listen.
next year in New York, he was fighting for the belt. So it only took him 12 months to get to Izzy because
So yeah.
he made his debut and he beat that guy, Bruno Silva, and then
Yep.
he beat Izzy. And then Izzy beat him. Then he fought
Yep.
Jan. He's just very active, right? So he
Yeah.
seems like he's ever
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what Khalil Rountree said about that fight with Pereira? Speaking
What
of
he
Pereira,
said something about it was fun, or what did he
what
say?
was that? I had moments of joy.
That's
It
awesome.
filled with
I
joy.
think. Well, I will break it down for you because I love the sports psychology of it.
Okay, tell me.
Well, the flow state, the flow. You know what the flow state is? You heard of that,
I
right?
do know when it seems like everything's working.
Okay, when everything's working, but the flow state happens when all of your energy is focused on a singular moment in time, and everything else disappears. Right. So there's this really great book called The Rise of Superman I have somewhere, and it talks about extreme sports athletes in the flow state. And you know what sucks about them? I'll tell you the bad part is it's almost an addictive state because when you get there as an extreme sports athlete, it's when your challenge meets your skill level, right? So if the challenge is too big, then it's not good. If the challenge is too low, it's not good, right? So as these extreme sports athletes get better and better and better, the challenge has got to keep going up. So they're addicted to this
Pushing the
flow state.
limit. Yeah, they push the limit of what
And
they
they all
should do to
die.
kill itself. Hey, yo, I got in the flow state one time. I swear to
Oh,
God, it happened.
yeah.
It happened, and I didn't recognize it was happening. And then I realized, like, afterwards, I was like, oh my God, now I know that feeling. Bro, it's when I was
Yes.
fighting Dan Henderson. I was doing
Really.
things, bro, I swear to God, I was doing things that I didn't even out. It was like going boom, boom. Yo, I
Yes.
wasn't even trying. Like, bro, me and Dan Henderson were fighting. We punch into the clinch. I hit him with a step around throw, a Polish lateral drop. It was crazy, right? Who does
I
a
remember that.
bro? I hit a Polish lateral drop. Then we're punching each other. I get on a high crotch and then I flip him
You
through
lift
the
them
air.
up. Yeah.
Yes. Then he gets up and I foot sweep him from behind. It was like I was in a flow state, dude. It was just like, and I grabbed him by the back of the head and foot swept him, dude. It was like everything was working.
Yes.
Every transition, every move that I did, every punch I threw landed. That was the only time I think that it was a complete flow inside the octagon. Even a
Yeah.
wrestling match, right? When you're wrestling
Really?
and you're like, dude, I think that was the only time inside my entire UFC career that I was just
Wow.
in such a flow where it felt like there was nothing he was going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Like there was no threat, bro. And I mean, have you ever got that? Like, have you ever
Yeah,
felt it?
I feel like I mean in wrestling I got there semi frequently. Um Fighting is I think was harder because you do the round breaks. So even if you're flowing a little bit, the round breaks will you stop and then you got
I
to
don't
go
think it
sit down for a
mattered.
minute and then you got to start again and it's kind of like hard to get ramped up and then obviously you're thinking of like oh am I up 3 rounds or is it 1-1 or so you're thinking about all these exogenous things which are not the fight whereas in a wrestling match like generally the breaks are really
Short,
tiny,
yeah.
really
Bottom cover.
short.
Bottom man's
Yeah.
head, top man cover. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty much the break. No, bro,
Yeah.
I swear. I was
No,
like, oh
so
my God. Then you
I
could
thought that was
watch
cool
it.
by Roundtree. I thought that was really a cool statement. And, sometimes guys don't like to acknowledge what the reality
No,
is. And it's like, yeah, you came up a little bit short, but you found that flow state. You were there.
yeah,
You
but
were
can you
almost the
really
best in
be
the
in a flow
world.
state when you're getting beat that bad? Can you
Yes.
truly? No, you can't, man. That's
Bull crap.
bullshit.
I
That is
actually think
bullshit. You
no. I
cannot be
actually
getting beat that bad and be in a state of flow where everything's clicking.
well, no, no. I mean, so he had. I know um he had success earlier in the fight, right? He had
Yes, he
more
did.
success early in the fight, so maybe he's more referencing that potentially. But then, I do think sometimes with certain fighters, you always talk about like they don't start fighting well till they get hit. I
Yeah.
actually think when they get hit, sometimes like it summons that like deeper, not as logical reasoning part of your brain. Like
Yeah.
kind of that caveman shit comes out a little bit, and you're
Yeah.
like, I just got to fight for my life. And that, like, I just have to fight for my life right now. I think that actually snaps a lot of guys into the flow state, right? Is like, I mean, think about if you were, I sometimes I say this to my kids. I said, except when especially when they're whining, something's hard. I think about this shit. We're out on the plains in, 646 AD, and someone's trying to kill us. What are we gonna do? Whine because we're tired? Whine because we're
Yeah.
hungry?
Yeah.
Are we gonna fight for our freaking lives here?
Yeah. You
You
know,
know,
I,
like,
I
yeah,
did you I tried to recreate that. Like I tried to recreate that caveman shit in me every fight. So
yeah, absolutely.
abstain from sex for a while, like a month.
Are you
Uh
kidding me? No,
swear to
that's
God,
wrong. You're dumb.
I swear. Listen, abstain from sex for like a month and
Okay.
then don't eat. Like literally eat at like so main event usually walked at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't eat past like 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
I
But
agree with
just
that one.
starving, like literally just
Uh,
starving. Because when you're hungry, right, your mind
huh.
goes to a place like if I had to go and kill something to eat right now, I would do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
for
obviously, we're
sure.
not at that level of hunger, but it's like if I needed to
But you
go
can
and
fake it a little bit.
yes, right, you can
Yeah,
put
yeah.
yourself almost in a caveman mindset to where
Yes.
you're like taking all the pleasures of life that
Mhm.
we as men love so much,
Yes.
food, women, those things that you take it away from yourself. And then
Yes.
by the time you get in there with this dude, you're like, yo, you're the reason that I didn't get to do this. You're the reason that I'm hungry.
Uh,
Seriously,
I
like, do you
wa-
not agree?
well, I mean, I was, you know what? I was never that extreme. I was more just like, think of it like, well, if I don't try to hurt him, he's gonna hurt me. Like that's, like, if we're out on the plains and he's got something I want. If and there's no law, I got to kill him to go get his stuff, or he's gonna kill me. That's kind of how I thought about it in the octagon. I was like, and it wasn't actually till I was fighting Lyman good because everyone else before that I thought they had good records, but I didn't think they were very
They
good.
weren't very dangerous.
And I looked at this guy. I'm like, oh, I'll bet to hurt this guy. If I don't hurt him, he's gonna try to hurt me. So let's go.
That threat level's got to be high though. When the
Yes,
threat level's high, you're like
yes.
really locked in.